everyone, so if you're big into your beauty products like me, you've probably already heard that Sephora have started shipping to the UK, and I think I saw it on Twitter and it was just probably the most exciting beauty news I'd heard all year. So if you haven't heard of Sephora, it's basically just a makeup lover's heaven, full to the brim of amazing brands and amazing products, and they're actually based in the US I think, but they're also all around Europe too, so it seems to be England is the only country that doesn't have one, which is such a shame. So of course I had to make an order, and it came in this lovely little Sephora box, and I think it took about a week. I ordered it on Sunday night and then it came the following Saturday, so about a week, you know, excluding weekdays and things like that, but Sephora do state that it's about 4 to 6 days, so that was pretty good I think, considering it's come all the way from America. So before I get onto the things that I actually bought, there are a few kind of terms and conditions to keep in mind when you're ordering, and the first one is the shipping. So it's a flat rate of £10 for all UK customers, which I guess is kind of pricey for shipping, but because it is coming all the way from America, I suppose it's not too bad for international prices. I actually ended up ordering along with a friend, so we put everything together in one big order and then split the shipping to £5 each, which I think is a much better thing to do. So if you have friends that also want to make an order, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. A few things that I did notice were that you have to spend over the £75 before the shipping even comes into it, so it has to be over that mark, and you also can't spend less than that too, so you couldn't just pay say an extra £5 and only end up spending 50. It has to be £75. And also one thing that did surprise me right as I got to the end of the checkout is the tax, and I guess that's probably a pretty standard thing to most people that live in the US. I think tax gets applied to everything over there, but in the UK we don't really have that, so that was a bit of a shock when all the prices that seemed kind of reasonable as I was shopping ended up being a few pounds more expensive, so that's something also to keep in mind. There are unfortunately quite a few brands that you can't order from, so NARS products, Hourglass, Fresh as well, which were all brands that I really wanted to get a few bits from. You can't actually put into your shopping basket, and I'm not sure why, whether that's just something to do with the marketing or the prices being converted, but yeah, those you can't order from. And also things like nail polishes and perfumes, anything in a glass bottle can't be shipped over too. So the Sephora Formula X nail polishes, which I really wanted to try, can't get hold of those, gonna have to wait to go to America to buy them. I also think it's a really good idea to join the Sephora Beauty Insider Club before you go to order, because I was surprised to find that you can actually gain points and redeem them before you've even paid for your purchase. So I managed to pick up a few full-size beauty samples, which was really great, and the first one of those was the CC cream from Sephora, and I'm really into my CCs and my BBs and things like that at the moment, so I thought that would be nice to try. It is a little bit dark for me, but with samples of foundation and things that always seems to be the case, but it is a nice lightweight foundation. And I also got this too, which is from Tarte. This is the Lights Camera Lashes mascara, and again this was another Dulux sample, and I really wanted to try this mascara for ages actually, and Tarte products, which is something that I'll come on to in a second, are something that I've really coveted for a long time. So Tarte have recently launched into the UK now. You can actually get hold of a small selection of products via QVC here, so that's great, and you don't actually have to buy all the way from America to get hold of this. And I really like the formula of this mascara. It's a quite volumizing and also quite lengthening one, which is kind of a combination that I really like for my lashes. The brush is one of those sort of natural bristle ones, and I don't tend to get on with those all too often, but this one has a lot of little hairs on it, so it seems to pick up every individual lash, which is great because it gives you not only the thickness and the length but the definition too, so I really have been enjoying using that mascara. And there are a few other bits that I got in there too, so a Laura Mercier face polish sachet and a perfume sample, and then a few other bits that I gave to my friend because we did split the order, so I guess it was only fair to share the samples. But I think it's really great that you can actually choose which samples you want. So onto the main purchases, and I only ended up getting 3 things, and I had a list in my shopping cart, a very long list, but decided just to get these 3 things because I knew I really wanted them. So for the first order anyway, I just bought a couple. Who knows what will come with the second order. So the first one is actually another mascara, and it's probably something that I've wanted to try for 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer than that, and it's the Makeup Forever Smoky Lash Mascara. And I think I've probably seen this on a countless number of YouTube videos and blog posts and things. I think anyone that's ever been to a Sephora has more than likely bought this, and it's just a really cult mascara, I guess. So although you can buy a few Makeup Forever bits here in the UK, it is quite hard to come across, so I did end up getting one, and it actually is very similar to the Tarte mascara, which I was surprised about. It has one of those sort of bristle brushes again. It's very tightly packed with bristles, so it really does pick up every little individual lash, and I find going from the root with this one is the best, so really wedging it in there and zigzagging it up really just coats all the way around the lashes. I think when you buy a product that so many people have raved about and talked about for such a long time, it definitely raises the bar for the expectations, and when I first used this I wasn't actually sure that I liked it. It didn't really wow me as soon as I put it on, and I expected it to be quite big and bold and have a lot of impact on my lashes, but it's more of a kind of quite defining, quite lengthening, slightly volumizing mascara. Definitely nothing as extreme as I wanted it to be. The one thing I do really like about this though is the colour of it. It's really dark and pigmented, so it stays looking quite black on your lashes for a long time, whereas some mascaras can end up being a bit grey on me after a while. This one really stays looking quite fresh and like you've just applied it. So if I know I'm going to be out for a long time, I've been reaching for this one a lot more over some of my favourites, so I think that's its redeeming quality for me. It's not a bad mascara at all, it is a really nice formula, it's just not as dramatic and bold as I would have liked it to have been. So the second thing that I got was a blusher, and this is another product from Tarte. This is the Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush, and again just something that I've wanted to try for such a long time, and like I said before, you can get a hold of Tarte in the UK now via QVC, but there aren't a great selection of the blusher colours. I think there's only 3, and this was one that they didn't feature. I ended up getting the shade Blissful, which is a very typical me colour. It's quite a bright corally pink, and I really wanted to see how the formula sort of compared to some of my other favourites. And I really like it actually. It's very pigmented, although it is quite easy to blend. I was kind of worried that it would be so pigmented I'd get a stripe of colour on my cheek and not be able to sort of buff it out, but it goes on really smoothly. I think the actual texture of the powders are really smooth, and this is a matte one, there's no shimmer in it, but I think they do a couple with some shine and sparkle and things like that in, so I'm not sure how differently those ones would apply, but this one is really smooth. In terms of the lasting power, I'm not sure if I ever actually wear makeup for 12 hours without touching it up or taking it off, but the colour does stay quite true for a long time, so it doesn't really sink into the skin or fade away too easily. There are definitely quite a few other Tarte blushes that I really want to try. I think there's more of a kind of minky brown one, and then a really bright red, which I for some reason really want to try out, so let me know what your favourite Tarte blushes are if you have any. The last thing I bought is probably the most exciting of the 3, and first of all just look at the cute little pouch that comes in. So well thought out, and I think this may be possibly the most beautifully designed eyeshadow palette I've ever bought, probably the most beautifully designed makeup product I own. So this is the Marc Jacobs Style Icon palette in number 7, which is otherwise known as the Lolita palette. And ever since Marc Jacobs launched their beauty range, I knew I just had to get my hands on some of it. Just the packaging alone is beautiful, and I think it may be rumoured now to be coming into the UK soon, so that's great. I can't wait to swatch a few things, but I knew I really had to have this in my life. It's basically a palette made up of 7 shades of neutral tones. Not that I needed another neutral eye palette in my life, but just look at the colours, they are absolutely stunning. So the palette has 3 kind of shimmery metallic shades, 1 really intense glitter, and then 3 mattes, and I think it's the mattes that I've been getting the most use out of. Even though I'm not really a matte eyeshadow type person, they just blend so easily, they're so soft and they work in really nicely, so I've really been enjoying doing quite a subtle kind of matte smoky eye with these ones. So there's a kind of light highlighting colour, a creamy one, more of an in-between tone, kind of a neutral browny beige, and then a really dark brown, and this is really nice for getting in the crease, and I've even been using it as an eyeliner too on an angled brush. The shimmers as well are really lovely, and particularly this one at the end, which is quite a bronzy tone, I find just swept all over the lid is a really simple, quick and easy eye. And I haven't quite been brave enough to use the glitter yet, but it is such a beautiful kind of taupey greyish brown glitter, which I think would be really pretty. One thing I did notice though is that some of the shimmery ones, particularly this lighter colour here, have quite a pinky undertone to them, which almost reminds me of the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette, in that there's this sort of rosy shimmer running through them, so if you're not really into that sort of colour, that might be something to think about, but I think they're so pretty, and I really have worn this non-stop since I got it. There's so many different things you can do with it, possibilities are endless. So that's it for my first Sephora haul, although I feel an itching to get back on that site and order a few more things, so this is probably the first of many to come. So if you have any questions about the shipping or the ordering process that I didn't answer, let me know in the comments below and I'll try and get right back to you. And also if you've ordered from Sephora as well, or if you're just lucky enough to have one down the road, let me know what you bought or what your favourite sort of products are from there. So I have a few things to look out for when I do my next order, which I can tell is probably going to be in about 5 minutes time. So until then, I will see you all soon and thanks for watching.